Hello newcomers and old-timers, I am Core Scratches, and thank you for joining me to take another look at what I found. Some of you may have noticed by now, I don't really find much of anything that I review. It's all studio productions with distributors and paid actors who don't have day jobs. And I've mentioned many times before, the found footage genre, it's blooming among novice filmmakers. And yet I don't explore that. It's not a good look. I mean, nothing's keeping me from exploring the unknown. It's all out there. I mean, it's not like I'm a lazy sack who don't go out of my way to find movies I have never heard of before, and I had the At Love Pass incident lined up, but I couldn't review it because I couldn't get the file to work, and so I had to turn to YouTube out of desperation for anything to review this week. That's not it at all. So, No Through Road. Not to be confused with the 2008 revenge thriller of the same name, No Through Road is an interesting little outlier in the creepypasta community. Not a story, but a video in the vein of Marble Hornets. No Through Road presents itself as real found footage recovered from a car involved in a quadruple homicide in Britain. What would by itself be spoken of as a tragic murder case comes turned on its head as the camera caught truly unexplainable and disturbing events that would leave you questioning the nature of reality itself. It's also about 9 minutes long, so perhaps I shouldn't build it up so much. Either way, let's take a look at No Through Road and see if I can make a review that's actually longer than the movie I'm reviewing. Blink and you'll miss it. December 17th, 2008, 4 dead boys were found dead outside of Stevenage in England, and their families released the footage hoping someone may know something. I don't know how they could do that when presumably the video is part of a police investigation. Not to mention the bodies are already found, so I'm not sure what they'd gain by releasing the video. But never mind little details. 4 assholes are running around. Oh, wait, this is Britain. Dingleberries! 4 dingleberries are running around in somebody else's car looking for their way home, and I will say they really nailed the dingleberry acting.
Okay, I'm just going to stick this down here because I can't be fucked to keep moving it. Hang on, I'll see if I...
What was that? No, what was that? I mean, I get it's a video that glitched in, but why? Doesn't say.
Skeleton.
Got it! That's the title of the short! It's supposed to be real, so we can't have a title frame! With nowhere to go, it's best to go around and go... somewhere.
That is no... I don't even know where that is, that's nowhere near us.
Oh, you're in Watnet Stone, between Stevenage and Hertford in Hertfordshire, north of London. Google Maps is a wonderful thing. And if I could figure that out, you should know where you are. That's enough out of me. The young men, consisting of Martin, James, Ollie and whoever the guy is, got themselves lost on what should have been a short drive home, bizarrely passing the very same sign several times over, and the radio isn't much helpful.
What is this? Oh, it's like the scariest thing ever. What station was that?
Well, I believe you somehow picked up a TV signal because that was the looping sound from The Strangers.
Look, guys, look. Oh my god. Stevenage. Yes. Oh, finally.
What's funny about this is if you just go to Google Maps and you find out where Bennington and Watton are, and then you spend an hour of your life walking through Walken Road and the A602, eventually you'll arrive at that very roundabout. And if you just turn around, you realize the NTR is actually right behind them. It's funny, because if you had just put in Broomhall Farms, you could have found that out right away. God, it hurts! It may not be laziness though, as soon they find themselves right back at the NTR, and what happens next is too strange to even be explained. A masked figure appears as the looping blares from the radio. They try to drive off, but he appears behind them as well. The car grinds to a halt as they drop the camera. In a jump cut, whoever is out of the car and running away, only to be hunted down and have his face bashed in with his own camera.
Please don't. No! Dog.
And that was Snow Through Road, a short but sweet foray into the tricky art of found footage. Despite being so short, it did a very decent job with what it had, building up the tension before the climax, and it didn't have a plot, but it served its function as a realistic thriller very well, showing 4 normal, everyday teenage guys who happen to be led to a cruel and unusual fate for no obvious reason. Like a lot of creepypastas, it didn't have an explanation, and the guys didn't poetically deserve to die, unless you count Ollie doing a DUI. They simply happened across a random supernatural fluke, and personally, I think that makes it scarier. And I can already hear the clicking and clacking of keyboards from angry found footage fans telling me there are 3 more videos. I know this, you don't need to tell me. I just wanted to give the first one some special attention, because the other videos weren't released until 2.5 years later, making them effectively sequels. So yes, this is actually a short web series I stumbled across, but due to the time passed between the first and subsequent parts, I don't think it was originally supposed to be. I wanted to reach out and ask Indra and Cold3 about it, as well as whatever else I could, but they don't seem to have been active for almost a year, and the only opportunity they offer to contact them seems to be through YouTube comments, which they don't appear to respond to. Shame, because they seem to have been fairly talented filmmakers, and I'm curious what happened to them, as well as any backstory they could give for the series. Basically, all I really have to go on to judge the series is the series itself. So in that sense, it does actually follow the rules in found footage, in that the source, it's a little bit vague, but it is unquestionably fake, because Indra and Cold3 has been uploading other stuff between episodes, showing the boys are still very much alive, and a bit disgusting. 2.5 years later, Ollie, I think, is visiting Broomhall Farms, I think, to pay his respects to the friends he's lost, and already the plot has buckshots in it. Ollie was one of 4 people in the car, and 4 bodies were recovered. 4 years ago. That was the entire premise of the first video. How is he still alive? Well, they did think of this, and make sure to explain it first thing.
And when you look at the video, you see me get dragged out first, before Stephen. I don't know how I got out there.
By retconning! Because if history is inconvenient, you can just change it. So it goes, Ollie doesn't remember anything after being picked up and taken to hospital, and he never talked to the cops or his parents about what happened because he can't remember anything.
I don't have any answers.
Yeah, just move on. On the way home, they pass the time talking about Doctor Who and time travel, just in general, for no particular reason. And before long, darkness falls and they find themselves lost by the side of the road.
Do you know where we are? I've no idea where we are.
The drive between Stevenage and Hartford takes 20 minutes. I mean, maybe paranormal forces are bending reality so they get lost on roads that they should know like the back of their hands, which is a terrifying prospect, but I can't help but imagine all the people who actually live there looking at these guys and wondering if they get lost between the kitchen and the bathroom. As night arrives, the clear path is lost, and unobserved the universe becomes unaccountable to the expectations we put on it. Normal rules no longer applies, as the straight path shifts and curves, bringing the boys right back to the same road sign again and again. The networks are down, internet is lost, and there isn't a vehicle in sight or hearing.
I reckon it's a good thing you came back.
I just had to pay my respects.
Do you think it was worth it?
No.
Someone took a drama class? Ah! Jesus! And someone else aced it! Beyond reason and sense, Stephen is alive.
James, you got away.
Yeah, I got away. Where have you been?
Dave!
Okay, so it's not Ollie, it's James and Dave, got it. Sorry, but At no point has the characters been given proper introductions, and it's a bit difficult to learn who's who when everyone's drunk and screaming at each other. Finding their friend broken and bloodied wandering for the dock isn't the height of the madness they've entered. No, it's the fact that Stephen, Ollie and Martin has been missing for 3 years. 3 years! When to Stephen it hasn't been more than a few minutes. What tape? First of all, this is what tape distortion looks like. Second of all, the first video was in 360p, but this and the subsequent videos are shot in 1080. Are you really trying to convince me these videos were captured on a cassette? Guess so, since they're trying to convince us more tapes were found just lying around, but they need some repair before they can be shown. Must have taken the time to digitally restore them as well, I don't know. But 10 months later the story continues, and phone's ringing!
Who was it?
I don't know, it was just a withheld number.
What did they say?
They didn't say anything.
Driving left, driving right, it doesn't matter. They still return to the same signpost, but then the same man from 3 years ago emerges from the shadows.
Drive.
Go, 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 go! Go!
And it ends there? Okay. 4 months later and we're back.
You got a bit of blood on you.
It's alright, I don't think it's my blood.
Okay. Wait. Blazing light frames a doorway in the night, and inside a shrine to the madness awaits them. Tea lights warm the marble countenances of masks spread throughout the room, sending fiery flickers across the dark cloth and red chalk in the shape of symbols and words, reiterating their fraternal nonsense in an endless loop of insanity.
How does he know the things we said?
Maybe you saw the video.
What video?
Okay, you're not supposed to know because, well, for some reason the last 3 years didn't happen to you, but would you mind explaining to it, since you brought attention to it, would you guys mind explaining how a video that was released in response to the 4 of you dying can exist in a timeline where 1 of you survived? Returning to the car, a harrowing sight greets them. The masked man is there, waiting, but seemingly not for them. In fact, another car pulls up outside the viaduct. The mysteries, the disappearances, everything explained in an incredible revelation. Time travel bullshit! It's like a Shyamalan movie. If it doesn't make sense, that means it's clever. Yes, they see it now. Through some unexplainable twist to the space-time continuum, they have in fact returned to the same moment from 3 years ago. But maybe they can change it, if only...
Wait! Stop!
Steven?
Well, it's your own fault for thinking you could create a paradox and get away with it. Wait a minute. And that's how our story ends. The guys are scattered to the winds, Stephen killed himself, and maybe, the loop has an even darker fate in store for them. Ho ho ho, not if the audience has anything to say about it. They figured out Stephen ended up killing himself, and the guys are stuck in a time loop forcing them to relive the same hell again and again and again, and Stephen will in fact become the masked man. Ignoring the fact that past Stephen just killed present Stephen, meaning there can't be a future Stephen. But anyway, that was No Through Road, and I don't know what the fuck. My initial instinct is to say it's not actually that bad, but that doesn't mean anything. I keep returning to the fact it wasn't made by professionals and shouldn't be judged as if, but I can't tell how much that matters either. None of the problems I have with the series comes from the fact it doesn't have a studio backing, and more to do with the guy's limited experiences. But that's the case for every artist, be they professional or novice. As a novice filmmaker, you don't have the experience to know what you're doing yet, and it seems unfair to levy that against you, but you also have unparalleled creative freedom. It's a time in an artist's development that isn't given a lot of recognition simply because not a lot of good art comes out of it. But I think acknowledging those first few fledgling steps is important. Good art deserves criticism, so with that in mind, I will give this show the most honest review that I can. I think the first short is great, but the sequels are a bit pointless. Looking at the show as a whole, it is a very decent effort to make something akin to Tribe 12. It's got the clever editing and larger-than-life events that made the show appealing, but it doesn't feel nearly as real as the first episode. Magically manifesting demonoid phenomenon is a bit of a stretch, but the footage feels natural all the way through. What held it together for me was the lack of a plot and the acting. Sampling the sound from The Strangers did break suspension of disbelief, but I was willing to look past it simply for how believable their response to the events were. It could have made for a good setup to a web show, for example if a bunch of yokels decided to investigate the bridge after seeing the video, but bringing dead characters back to life through this intricate time loop feels extremely forced. I can see why if the guys didn't have any other actors, but it's still altering reality to fit the narrative. And when you start doing that, your found footage video is pretty much screwed. I've talked about the difference between fantastic, narrative and authentic found footage before, and I don't mind a found footage film that's clearly fictional, so long as it works within its own universe. But starting out pretending to be real, only to then transition fully into the realm of fantasy, doesn't work for me. Especially not when the characters who once acted like everyday normal teens become stilted and wooden. Looking past this jarring change from the first episode and only focusing on parts 2 through 4, it's not nearly as bad as they make it out to be. It just feels like two very different stories, one inspired by the other, but not by themselves connected. The influence from other found footage web shows is obvious, specifically Tribe 12. I liked Tribe 12, so by themselves these episodes are enjoyable to watch. But I had to watch them a few times to figure out what was even going on. I can see why Indra and Cold 3 wanted to continue the story. It's a very popular video with a lot of potential to be developed further, but in doing so they moved away from what made the video so compelling. If I had to guess, I don't think they could come up with something that fits seamlessly with the first video, and so they went ahead with their best attempt. Unfortunately, I don't think it panned out. What I wish they would have done is come up with something altogether new, because they clearly are very skilled. No Through Road brings to mind a jumbled puzzle. All the pieces are there to make a great work of art, but it's all cluttered and tangled together. To make it simple, I sentence this series as a whole to a 4 on a scale of 11, but that doesn't tell the whole story. Video 2 through 4 is a recognizable but talented story that could have made for compelling Friday night watching, and I sentence it to a 6 on a scale of 11. Finally, the very first video is a tour de force that came as a pleasant surprise in an evening of lazy browsing. It's bare bones and simple but very effectively portrayed. Even if I know exactly how all of it is done, it fits together smoothly enough to be mistaken for real, and its only crime is being too short. I sentence No Through Road Part 1 to a 7 on a scale of 11. Thank you all for watching. I have been Core Scratches. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, check out my art channel, my DA, my Twitter, and I hope you will see me again next time to take another look at what I found.